That's looking at detailed analysis inside of Freshly Pressed. You're listening to Smooth Breakfast with Folu.
And with Valentine.
This morning we'll have our analyst in the house, Oge Lagos. That's Miss Ireti Bakare Yusuf. Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Valentine, you kind of giving me some vibes with those
Seriously, I don't know
glasses.
which vibes are
Morning, morning radio, Mr.
We have
I'm just saying vibes,
Funmi Odude
vibes
in the
on.
studio. Good morning, Funmi. How are
Good
you?
morning.
I don't know what vibes
Good
are
morning
over
to you,
there.
yeah.
But Lagos and the rest of the world, we're definitely receiving your vibes loud and clear when you send us messages over the live stream. Go to youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos. Send us messages to Twitter. Just use the hashtag freshlypressed981. And of course, send us WhatsApp messages as well. The number for you to WhatsApp is very simple. Just add us to your contact list. It is 0809 444 0981. Now we'll jump into our first story for this morning's newspaper analysis. The story comes in from the Punch newspaper, and the headline reads, Obaseki meets Edo teachers over strike. Now, we have seen this in the papers over the past couple of weeks, but most recently, the Edo State Governor, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, has met with members of the Nigerian Union of Teachers to avert a planned strike by the teachers in public schools in the state. Now, the industrial action is supposed to follow them trying to get the government to meet their demands, of which include the implementation of a 2013 to 2015 promotion of primary school teachers. They say arrears of January to July and the immediate implementation of an approved 25,000 naira minimum wage to all primary school teachers. However, further down in the story, it seems that the government says it's not as though they're real demands, it's just a gap in communication. Ms. Ireti, please break this down for us.
Well, it's typical of Nigerian government to say they're not real demands because these people are asking for the improvement in their welfare. And we often see welfare as now only you Sabacom or whatever it is that woman said. I can't remember how she said
Only
it.
you Wakacom.
That's the one. Yeah. So, but what they're asking for, and this is why I like this strike, clearly Obaseki listened to them, is afraid of them. Well, not so much afraid, perhaps I should use the word respectful of their demands, because he actually met with them and gave them audience. Now, what they're asking for is very, very important. Like you said, implementation of the 2013 to 2015 promotion of primary school teachers. Now, promotion to what is what we don't know. I don't know, maybe they mean promotion as in monetary promotion, welfare promotion, or whatever it is, pay rise. And also arrears from January to July 2018, the immediate implementation of the approved 25,000 minimum wage to all primary school teachers. Again, that's important. We mustn't take that for granted. So what I like about this is, much as the government have to come out, or the state government have to come out and be sort of bullshit, as in, we didn't kowtow to them. Well, sir, we know you did, but that's okay. We actually have to remember that it's okay to kowtow when somebody is asking for reasonable demands. And that's what I like about this. Obaseki went in there, they dealt with it, they focused on it, and he said, look, I don't want the education in the state. I want the resumption to be smooth. I've sat with them. Everybody's happy. Even the Union of Teachers themselves said, look, this is their quote. We met with the governor today, Tuesday. There were some resolutions we took. We, union leaders, are messengers. We will carry the resolution back to our members. If they say that we should suspend the strike, we will. If they say they are satisfied with the resolution, we will suspend the strike. I like the sort of conversation that's happened here, and the way everybody, both parties have respected each other's demands and each other's positions. I think this is good. Hopefully what they've said, what they've agreed, will now be implemented as they say, because this is Nigeria.
Yes, no, indeed. And it's very interesting to note that, and just to reiterate for our listeners out there who may not be aware, Edo State has been carrying out a sort of retraining program
That's right.
for a number of their teachers. And it would be interesting to see if perhaps they're waiting for all the teachers to be fully worth maybe the promotion in terms of maybe their status as teachers, so that they can say officially, okay, we know that we're providing this sort of quality education. Now let's move away from the teachers now and talk about IPOB threatening to lock down the southeast and south-south. The story is from ThisDay newspaper, so please go over there and read it in more detail. But they are looking to observe a sit-at-home action for people who were killed during the military Operation Python Dance 2. For me, anytime we read that our citizens are being have been hurt or killed by members of the armed forces, who are meant to be very worrying news.
Yes.
However, we group.
Said worrying news, and if uncomfortable, all it was like, okay, we want to want an action in memory of the people, the childish and laughable utterances and threats from poorly educated Fulani police commissioners in Imo and Ambra and Enugu State. A special compliance unit has been set up by IPOB High Command to monitor and take record of traitors and saboteurs who may have been recruited by the government to undermine the sanctity of the occasion. So this has gone from beyond a mere trying to
showing solidarity.
we are trying to show solidarity to what the army has done to an outright, and this is almost feels like calling for military action against you guys, because the right to self-determination is a very extensive. I mean, if we start to talk about it right now, the time won't permit us. But the Constitution still says we are one indivisible, indissoluble sovereign nation.
Yes.
And there's particularly a part of the Constitution that if any persons or group that attempts to take control of the government or any part thereof will be looked upon as breaching the Constitution. It's when you are already giving orders and saying, I'm going to enforce it, you're already practically saying in very nice terms, I have if I don't want to use an army, but I have a group of people with might. I have enforcers.
Yes.
Exactly.
So for me, here's a question. I know now what you've mentioned is still talking in terms of IPOB almost versus the government. Let's take a look at IPOB versus the people who happen to live within states that they have designated as Biafra land. If you say that people have a right to self-determination, such people should have a right to decide whether or not they want to be a part of a Biafran movement or an IPOB movement or otherwise. When you have members of IPOB that are saying things like, we will enforce any saboteurs, does that sound as though it is...
You're giving the people a choice.
Yes.
Exactly.
Does it sound as though people there would have a choice?
Even the right to self-determination is exercised in a certain way, and it's not exercised by you giving orders in a particular region and attempting to enforce the orders against the valid and constitutional enforcement machinery in that country. There's a way that international rights is exercised, and this is not that way.
This is not it. Thank you very much for that from me. I appreciate hearing from you. Of course, Lagos, keep sending in your messages. We see them. Use the hashtag FreshlyPress981 on Twitter and send in to our WhatsApp number 0809 4440981. Up next, we'll talk about defection. Always interesting, and I think it's looking at the elections looming ahead of us. It's definitely necessary to talk about. So, a court is being asked to declare Governors Ortom, Tambuwal, and Ahmed seats vacant. That's the Abuja division of the Federal High Court on Wednesday. They've been asked to have okayed 3 separate suits seeking to declare the seats of Governor Samuel Ortom of Benue State, Aminu Tambuwal of Sokoto State, and Abdul Fattah Ahmed of Kwara State vacant following their defection to the People's Democratic Party. Now, it was brought under the aegis of a civil society group, Incorporated Trustees of Advocacy for Change and Social Values Network, and they're asking the court to direct INEC within 90 days to conduct a fresh poll to elect new governors in the 3 states and a deputy governor in Benue State in accordance with the law. Funmi, we have talked about this before.
Yes.
People, cross-carpeting, saying that we haven't seen this necessarily in front of the courts, and now it looks like civil society groups are going that direction. Or is that what's happening here?
Well, yes, and this is actually very interesting because unlike the National Assembly members, where we have express provisions of the Constitution barring cross-carpeting, there's none for the governors. There's no very express, like we have for members of the National Assembly. So it is very interesting. And over the years, what makes this more interesting is over the years we have evolved. The courts have been forced to evolve the principles regarding elections and political parties. So the suit mentions Amici and INEC, which was a turning point in our law regarding political parties. So what happened was this regular thing of the parties are decided. A primary is conducted. A participant in the primary is not satisfied with what the party did and the choice of the party, saying that they didn't follow the law and everything. Elections are conducted and the party elected at Supreme Court, like it is wrong. And the man and the Supreme Court says yes, you were actually supposed to be the primary candidate. But instead of going back to conduct elections, since your party won, you are the governor, because the party wins the elections.
Okay.
So if we are going by that principle, which is what makes this case interesting, even though there is no express provision of the Constitution barring cross-carpeting for the principle has sort of been laid down by the courts that it is the political parties that win elections. So what this case not the individuals. So what this case is saying, if it is APC that won the elections, can these governors now give that victory to another political party in the middle of the administration? And that is but seeing how close we are to the elections, before the cross-carpeting thing came about and before this came about, I don't know, but I do wish, even if it does not directly end before the next elections, really wish they would get to the conclusive end. Let's get the in regard to, there is no express provision, like I said, but it does raise some very, very valid legal points.
It does indeed. We'll move.
In 2005, Nigeria had an external debt stock of 36 billion, which had been buried over from the military years, which years dating back to 1985, which is very true. Consecutive military government just kept getting us into debt, and we finally got out of it. Now, we're back in this place, and I can understand her worries. She talked about the Paris Club. You have to go and read it because we're running out of time, because we have to move so fast on this show. But she talks about the Paris Club, and one has to understand her worry. Her worry is, look, yes, let's talk about Nigeria. We're not going to talk about the rest of Africa. We're in Nigeria after all. Our worry is, look, we're taking lots of money, and yes, we need to spend. We must remember in Nigeria, please stop going on about China. I don't care whether it comes from China or Ikorodu or wherever. We have to spend our way out of recession. That's how you deal with a recession. But the problem we have here is that when most people spend their way out of recession, on the ground, or if you like, on the other hand, they are basically working towards a revenue growth, right?
Yeah.
We're not doing that. So we have, for every 100 naira we make, 50%, 50% goes to our debt. That's dangerous.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Miss Ireti. We'll go through a few of your comments very quickly. Temitayo Giwa is watching up on the live stream and says, I love how passionate Miss Ireti gets. Fire. Thank you. Gringus says, it is stupid for any group to dare the authority of the government and not expect to be severely dealt authority. The expression of one's freedom shouldn't be a display of ignorance or of arrogance and impunity. There's always a consequence for these things, and nobody should, on the one hand, violate the laws of that land, and on the other hand, talk about respect for his so-called fundamental human rights. While we have IK saying IPOB should seek guidance on how to make their rhetoric more civil and appealing. Interesting. I understand their grievance, but dislike their bluster. However, the Python military exercises are provocative. Thank you very much for that, IK. We appreciate that message. Moving on now from the Punch newspaper, the FEC proposes fresh amendment of the Electoral Act. That's the Federal Executive Council at its meeting on Wednesday approved a fresh bill for the amendment of the Electoral Act and another seeking the establishment of a proposed Electoral Offences Commission. Despite the ongoing controversy between the presidency and the National Assembly over the president's decision to withhold his signature from what has been put in front of him. For me,
yeah. So maybe this is progress. I want to believe that what has happened here is, so the executive has maybe adjusted.
Yes.
And remove that part that they're uncomfortable with and sent it back to the National Assembly. Of course, one part that, even though the story doesn't say, one part that we're confident is probably out is the sequence of elections and all of that. And we had actually stated at the time that there are other very innovative things in that bill. And so because of that one singular thing, we shouldn't completely throw away the baby with the bathwater. So yes, this is progress. Let's take it back. We hope that the same kind of thing happens with the PIGB. Let the presidency readjust. Let the executive readjust. Let's see what it is that they're uncomfortable with. Let's send it back.
And in the interest of public information, do note that the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, who was also one of the ministers briefed there, did point out that the FEC approved 3 bills for transmission to and passage by the National Assembly. The proposed bills approved by the Council were the Constitution Alteration Bill 2018, the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2018, and the Electoral Offences Commission Bill. So we'll keep an eye out for the wording of those.
All right, something else to examine and keep an eye out for is the story from Daily Times newspaper. Governor of Lagos State, Ambode, Funmi Ambode, has come out to say there's no rift existing between Tinubu and I. Ms. Ireti, let's go straight into the story.
Are we going straight into it? Okay. Yes. Okay, this has really got to be one of the most exciting stories that came out. I'm telling you, it was like playing chess. You didn't know which side of the bed you were going to get out of. Every time you got up, a new one emerged. You got a new WhatsApp message. You're like, okay, funs and games, let the dance begin. But only this time, the dance is between father and son. Budzi, as my son would call him, Ambode to the rest of you, and Baba Jaga, as you know, as like body lump peeps would call him. So here it is. So we all know, we've all seen the WhatsApp message, we've all seen it on Twitter. In fact, Vanguard wrote a really nice piece on it, which I thought was for once, actually, they did justice to this story.
I was waiting.
For once, they did, you know, for once,
yes,
for once they did justice to this story, and you have to just go and read it. Since yesterday, I was trying to find it before we got to this story. So, but of course, Ambode has had to come out fighting, and poor bloke, he can't cross over anymore. Look, let's just look at the logic of this. He can't cross over anymore because he's already picked up the ticket. All right. So what you're going to cross over to? How much is the ticket? If the presidential one is 65 million, I don't know how much the Lagos State one is. They're yet to call me to say come and contest for governor, but you know when they do, I'll call Folu and Valentine. But yeah. So here we are. So Ambode is paid. He's collected this ticket. He's done all this publicity. They've been posting it, and all of a sudden he's hearing that, "Oi, love, can't go further. Your name's not down. You're not coming in. Wait your turn again." Oops. So he's had to come back fighting, and this is what you do. This is what I like. I like the fact that he hasn't just sort of, you know, crawled away into the corner and think, okay, you know, I'm just going to take this line down. And he mustn't. He must behave like a leader. Even though I can say, as a Lagosian, he has let me down. And people do ask, Ms. Ireti, what do you have against Budzi? Ambode to the rest of you. And I'll tell you what I have against Budzi is that, number one, is the environment. Lagos is filthy. And a busy city like Lagos, you can't take such a thing for granted. It needs hands-on solution, and it needs a lot of commitment for you to keep it clean. Number two are the roads. The roads are hideous. Jaga, 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 and we're not even in Jagaban land yet. So that's the problem. Anyway, I'm supposed to hurry up about this. We should have done this story first. It's so exciting. But what Ambode wants you all to know is that there's no fight between him and Daddy, you know, Baba Jaga, that everything's okay. I doubt thing is okay because in this meeting he had in Ekwe, nothing here. All the meetings he's been having, Baba Jaga has not been there.
But he's only one man, and he works with other people. So could this be, I mean, the rumors we heard yesterday and the stories that we followed yesterday, could it be some people actually trying to put him in bad light?
Can I just say, the rumor you heard yesterday, some of us have been hearing it since last year. So please, I mean, like, seriously, he's one person. He still has to report to Baba Jaga. And if Baba Jaga doesn't come to the meeting to anoint you, so to speak, just, am I lying? You know, take it for granted. The chances are, but he will still be begging underground. So, and Tinubu, as we know, he's quite a forgiving man. So let's just watch this space. Like I said, the dance has just begun. Let's enjoy it. Sit back and watch.
That's a comic relief in that story.
So interesting.
We'll move on to this next one. You're actually very interested. Now, from New Telegraph, we have this next story talking about new minimum wage. Now, it seems that the delay is rubbing off very badly on the labor, on the workers, really, and the labor unions across the country, because this talk has started since 2 years ago, 2016, where the government gave some kind of light, bringing like a silver line into the cloud and making it seem like this was going to happen anytime soon. Well, apparently, Ngige, that's Chris Ngige, who is the chairman of the new minimum wage committee, has said that that's the Minister of Labour. He made a statement saying that, alluding to the fact that the governors were the reason why this minimum wage has been delayed so much. I mean, Funmi, from this story, it said, following the recent position taken by the federal government to defer implementation of the new minimum wage, the members of the organized labor has issued a 2-week ultimatum, that's 14-day ultimatum to the government to reverse their decision or face another round of industrial disharmony. What are your thoughts?
So when Ms. Ireti was dealing with the Obaseki teacher story, she made an important point about communication.
Yes.
And when both parties believe that we genuinely want to reach a solution together. I know a lot of discussion has been had as to the government doesn't have money, let's wait, the chicken and the egg. those people are suffering as well. But when you go through the story, all there is a lack of mistrust.
Yeah.
The government has
lack of trust.
A lack of, sorry, yes, thank you, a lack of trust, and this is because of the actions of the government. So apparently, you created a committee to start work, and you told them by the third quarter of 2018, when this committee is completed its assignment, we will implement the new minimum wage that it come about. And then close the end of the completing its assignment, you adjourn them indefinitely. And it's bound to cause this kind of reaction from Labour leaders.
But for me, for clarification reasons, I mean, both the public and Labour, one would imagine, since they're in closer talks with the federal government, have been told time and time again that the different states cannot agree. And that is one of the most important things.
Yes.
For the federal government to be able to allow the committee to say conclusively, go ahead with this, the state governors absolutely have to agree, because all the states are able to financially in very different ways.
Yes.
So how is the federal government responsible for that?
And that is part of actually their problem, that this committee had actually taken, that's one of the reasons the committee was set up, to try and get input from the different states, from the different organizations. And so far, according to the story, they have 21 governors.
21 state governors.
21 state governors on their side. And it's and they're saying you can't just rubbish all the work they've done this month and adjourn them indefinitely and just cancel our talks after you've given us time frame. So sometimes in life, everything is approach. And so you say, okay, this is how far this committee has come. We've not been able to get to the end of it. Let's keep talking. Let's keep talking. But to sort of just cancel everything they've done and say, I'm sorry, this is your issue. It has to take the back seat for now. It makes them look like, so we believed you for 3-4 years for nothing. So it's actually a matter of approach at the end of the day. It's make me know that my demands are valid, like they're important to you. I can't deal with them right now for A, B, C, D reason.
I just ask these questions because we know that our papers are bound to embellish and sometimes not include how they are in truth being approached. And also we've seen, unfortunately, that a lot of unions just take industrial action as a means of holding a gun to the government's head.
Well, they claim they've been promises. I mean, they claim that Dr. Ngige himself in February during the 30th anniversary of NLC promised them that your new minimum wage will be implemented by September.
August or
I
September.
Reading the stories, it wasn't a promise, it was this is a hope.
And
the hope has been cut short. You can't expect them not to be
it was
upset.
still in September, so like it's safe to be cautiously optimistic about that. But anyway, moving on to this next story from New Telegraph newspaper. Aircraft pilots are calling for the renovation of airports. Aviation authorities they're asking directly that the aviation authorities should shut down Enugu and Benin airports for comprehensive repair of their runways. And this is similar to the call by the government, mentioning the Southeast governors precisely mentioned that the emergency repairs should be carried out on the Akanu Ibiam International Airport, Enugu. Ireti, what's your take on this?
So very quickly, again, we don't have much time, but this is such an interesting story. For once, it's the pilots that are speaking out, not the passengers who are screaming and saying we need better, not somebody representing government. It's the pilots that are, not even the airlines, the pilots are saying, look, these runways have got potholes. I repeat, yes, Lagos, potholes. And it doesn't surprise me. Look, very quickly, I'll take you back to a story. A friend of mine who was working for one of the international airlines, she was very senior. Back then, she said, in order to ensure that the aircraft or their planes left on time in Nigeria, they would literally send cleaners onto the runway with igbale, a broom, to the rest of you, to actually sweep the runway, because you can't have a single ounce of dirt on the runway. It's dangerous to the aircraft. And that's the kind of thing this Captain Chris Najomo, I applaud him because it takes a lot to speak out against the status quo, against the powers that be. And he's not criticizing, he's just basically saying, look, you need to fix these things now because the safety of the passengers are at risk. I quote him, he said, the runway in Benin Airport is pathetic, dangerous, and an accident waiting to happen. Please let them do something about the Benin Airport. You can close it and resurface it, Benin and Enugu. He also went on to say the second taxiway at the Lagos Airport that had been shut down for over 10 years should now be given some attention. So they've shut that down. They clearly haven't done anything about it. He says we are having potholes on the taxiway in Lagos. It is becoming more and more dangerous. So because one has been shut down, everybody's using the same one, and therefore, of course, it's wearing thinner. He said we need to do something about it now, and it goes on. And he also talks about the way people communicate, the way pilots communicate with air traffic control, which is really important. You don't hear that very often in this country. He said they need to be more polite. 80% of them were not disciplined on the radio. That's a quote from him. He said one pilot will call, then another one will call, another one will call, and then they all start having a go at the air traffic control, and it gets more. Basically saying, let's work together because we're in the same industry. This is about passengers. Oh my, I'm so impressed by this guy. Like I said, it's in the New Telegraph. Go and read it. Again, would they listen to him?
Yeah.
Because he also suggests that they should send some of the controllers to on the job training in places like Heathrow and JFK, etc. Send them to Gatwick. Gatwick is owned by one of our brothers, you know. So send them to Gatwick. He'll probably give us a discount, I think.
Thank you. We've got messages to round up with up on our live stream. Stanley Ejugo says it's amazing how few individuals can hold the rest of the populace to ransom. How is it that getting Tinubu's blessing decides who becomes the next governor of Lagos? This has to change sincerely. While Ojo Oladile up on the same platform says, well, Ambode just has to stay and prove his worth. He has nowhere to go. Up on WhatsApp, we've got more coming in. This one with Gwengus, but I'm going to skip that one, Gwengus, because we've heard from you already this morning. Damola says, Miss Ireti on this Ambode issue. I also cannot forgive him for the present state of Lagos, dirty megacity with horrible roads. Can't even stop talking about it. I'm deeply hurt. He took away the beauty.
Me too.
And then we've got Namdi from VI who says, I think Ambode is doing fine and needs to be supported to manage these godfathers who apparently don't like the direct primaries. I'm just going to put out there that for everyone who's saying, oh yes, let Ambode go, let the public decide, I hope you are voted, you are registered voters, and I hope that you intend to be present for the primaries.
Let's stop deceiving
and you know
ourselves.
all the candidates.
This is primaries. We're not talking about general election.
Yes.
This is APC. It's everywhere. Somebody has influence amongst the.
Don't be surprised if I come out as a candidate. This is APC.
For the people who are suggesting that he should take his chances are only there with you. So if you're so passionate about it, go out and vote in the primaries before the elections.
Lagos coming up next. We talk entertainment inside of the grapevine, and it's coming up in 14 minutes. Special thanks to Analysts, ThisDay Lagos, and Funmi Odude. Good morning.
The headlines.
Primaries is only open to party members.
I know.
Join APC.
I'm
that
my point, right? Because people like to, they're like, oh, you should take his. Okay, have you gone to register with him? You take his chances.
Please be careful when I show you this post. Nigerians are savage. The ones on Twitter, they haven't described them as silent for them.